You know my motto: how a person does one thing is how they do everything. Now, that is a line that perfectly encapsulates Tyler Perry's Duplicity, an Amazon original written and directed by Tyler Perry himself. The man has had quite the career in Hollywood so far, both in front and behind the camera. Madea himself, the man that was Alex Cross, that was certainly a movie that existed. And also behind the camera, he has helmed some pictures that have been fairly well received. Some that dive into the subject matter properly with some good performances and some good writing. And people think, gee, why can't Tyler Perry do more of this instead of films like Mea Culpa and Divorce in the Black? Mea Culpa had that tremendously hilarious, for all the wrong reasons, third act, and also Divorce in the Black. That every aspect of that movie was terrible. I don't know what the fuck it was supposed to be. It was like a meme in film form. It had to have been made as a joke. There's no way that anybody in that film could have thought they were doing anything good. They must have just been taking the money and said, well, we'll just perform this film like absolute shit. And then you get films like Duplicity. Duplicity that actually tackles a real-life subject and a real-life topic and an epidemic that has been taking place for decades and decades and decades. African-American people being targeted by law enforcement. And that is something that really should be brought to the forefront of film, because it's been all over the news, and the only reason that a lot more attention has been brought to it is because of the rise of social media and news reports and stuff like that. And I want to say, as a mid-40s white guy, I do not know anything about discrimination. I do not know anything about that, and I simply cannot say that, I would understand what anybody goes through that has a different skin tone than myself. And this subject is something that could have actually, carried Duplicity fairly well. Unfortunately, this is the bad side of Tyler Perry, where he basically trivializes this serious subject matter and puts a fairly talented cast in this goddamn murder mystery that is absolutely abysmal from beginning to end. The beginning actually is somewhat okay, I guess, but really, a lot of that goodwill, very little of it. I mean, it was weakly, very weakly put together, as Dutch Mantel would say. We instantly see the gunning down of an African-American man that is mistakenly seen as a criminal, and then things unfold from there. Again, serious subject matter that could have been tackled properly, but no, we get Tyler Perry apparently just writing this stuff out on napkins and having his fairly talented cast, including Kat Graham, the gorgeous Kat Graham, my goodness, with respect, absolutely captivating. She plays Marley, a very high-level attorney that has a friend, Fela, played by Megan Tandy, who has, she had her, husband gunned down, that, so she's all distraught and everything. She doesn't know how to deal with this. There's, obviously talk about the police, protecting their own and stuff like that, and the subject matter of, is it political, is it whatever, is it real, is it Memorex? All this stuff going on, and I'm making it sound a lot more interesting than it is, because presented this way, the movie is aggressively boring. Scenes drag on way too goddamn long. They could have cut the walking up to houses, portions, and the driving portions, at least some of them, and they could have trimmed a good 15 minutes off of this. This movie is an hour and 40 minutes long, and it feels like it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. This is agonizing. This is bad, and despite the talent in front of the camera, Kat does her best as Marley. It also has a ridiculous, not even necessarily a ridiculous third act twist, but a ridiculous third act presentation. But not even funny like Mea Culpa. I mean, it's not even like that kind of hilarity. This is just really fucking bad. Tyler Leppy, who plays Tony. You have Kevin, Ron, Rico Lee. You have Kim Steele in this. You have talent here in the cast, but unfortunately, you look at this is just like a TV movie with Amazon funding, or at least with an Amazon, platform. Because I do not understand how anybody could have thought any of these scenes should have been done this way. Any of this acting should have been done this way. The emotions didn't hit at all. And up to, I guess, the shooting, that sort of worked, but then everything just went off the goddamn rails on a crazy train. Also, Angela Halili, who, I mean, bless her, her character wasn't given all that much to do, but man, they must have just told her, act these scenes out in the worst way possible. Because, my word, and then they just throw a preponderance of, just shit at us in the last, 30 or so minutes. every bit of it we could see coming. It's just, I don't think any of us could have seen it coming in this silly way, because this is the bad side of Tyler Perry, the mea culpa, the divorce, and the black side of Tyler Perry. And if this is the Tyler Perry we're going to continue to get, then somebody needs to save him from himself, and somebody needs to save actors from working with the bad side of Tyler Perry. So that's really all I have to say right there. It is on Amazon if you want to check it out. If you have an Amazon Prime account, it is free, and you'll still feel like you deserve to be paid something for your time being wasted. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, everybody is so tired of Kevin. That is apparently the theme of this whole thing. Poor Kevin. I don't know what the hell Kevin did, but nevertheless, Kevin is a cop, by the way. There's a guy named Rodney that is a bit standoffish. There's a couple, there's a couple little bits of exposition and stuff like that. Marley ended up dating Tony after basically winning a case for him because she's a really, really good attorney. And preponderance of exposition, I mean, it's actually insane. It's not like they beat us over the head with so much of it, but it's just really, really lazily put together. There's an actor named Caleb, a character named Caleb. I had to see the actor playing him, he does fine. They don't dive enough into his story until way later, and then by then you don't care. But he's going out with Kevin to do some field work. They're in a different zone. Suddenly Rodney is doing his just a walk around and stuff like that, and he is seen in a hoodie, visits a woman's house, but it looks like a break-in. This older lady calls the cops because she's told to call the cops, and then Kevin and Caleb show up. And because he's listening to music, he doesn't hear it, looks up, sees the cops, goes to get his phone to shut off his, music, and gets shot. Now, that right up to that point, even with the acting not being that great, okay, good, all right. It's not necessarily the best shot because bad side of Tyler Perry, but at least there was something there. And then everything just goes to shit. I mean, everything really goes to shit by this point. There is a coworker of Vela's named a coworker at the news that works with Fela but also respects Marley, that gets her information. Quite a bit of information, as it were. And we get a few more things about these characters that doesn't really fucking matter at the end of the day. Stuff gets talked about with Kevin because Kevin was there. Who actually shot him? We see body cam footage a little bit later. Fela's financials are not all that great. And Tony, who, got a settlement, not a big settlement for being fired from his job, says, let's share some of the money with them and stuff like that so Fela's okay. So, all right, that seems like a very, very nice thing to do. And Kevin's upset, obviously, because I think he's the one that shot Riley. Or at least participated in it, because we never actually see who ends up doing the shooting. We just see the body cam stuff. And, yeah, the funeral arrangements don't go all that well. There's yelling at some news people that seem to be pouncing on the story and everything. Again, there's little tidbits of stuff, and Bela found out about this while reading the news, so she's all distraught. And the old lady who called the police is talked to, but she didn't actually know that he wasn't a bad guy. She just went on the, basis of what her neighbor told her. Mentioned the Beaumonts. Apparently Hugh Beaumont had a really big family. It's a deep cut for Leave It to Beaver fans. And then there's a woman named Anna Lewis, who had an affair with Rodney. So who is Anna Lewis? Tony knew about it, conveniently. He did. Gee, I wonder if you're guessing where this is actually going. So yeah, Tony is trying to basically make good with Marley, but that doesn't necessarily work. Bela's upset. She is still distraught about all this. So Caleb tries talking to Marley, and then he runs when Tony threatens him because his life is in ruins. There's, and she doesn't necessarily trust what Tony's saying because he lied about the whole thing about knowing about the affair. And someone broke into Fela's house. Could it have been Caleb? Could it have been somebody else? Was it real? Was it Memorex? What's going on? So, Sam made the pants too long and also got Marley the info. And it's about army information, and apparently Caleb may have actually been a bit of a naughty little individual, saying he wasn't racist, but maybe he was, or somebody was, very, very whatever. But it turns out he's also married to a black woman. He's not actually racist. I just want to say that. They emphasize first that he's not a racist, then they show he's married to a black woman, I guess, because why not? I guess they got to do that. But there's city corruption. Kim Steele's character is given very little to do. Apparently, she led the committee or whatever to Tony's firing. There's a reason for that a little bit later. And a $15 million settlement. Everything's cool. Fela calls for the end of the protests that have been going on, which you mostly hear about. You see like very little footage of. I guess they couldn't afford to shoot it. And now 4 months later, Fela's not really talking to anybody. Marley talks to Sam and also a character named Shannon that's played by an actor named Shannon, because evidently they didn't think that he would care enough to remember another name. But that being said, Fela's not talking to anybody. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. She moved. Okay. All this stuff. And then suddenly she's leaving the gym. Marley is, and she gets kidnapped by Caleb. Anna Lewis is there, and also Caleb's wife. Why are they in a black van? Why did they decide to do this? I don't. Caleb basically is tired of being targeted by all this stuff because the DA has a warrant for his arrest. Which, okay, I mean, had he actually been guilty of all this? But we see on the body cam footage, he tried to save Rodney, and Kevin basically stopped him from doing that. He could have been saved. So at least they emphasize that. But then it turns out that Anna actually was sleeping with Kevin, and also ended up sleeping with Rodney sometime after, but broke it off with Kevin because Kevin was abusive and basically the devil. When that switch flips, he's basically evil and the devil, and this is where the line reading is really, really bad. I'm not saying that she's a terrible actress, but this was really, really, really bad acting. Really bad. Or just bad line reading, because bad side of Tyler Perry, peeking and rearing its goddamn ugly head. So she had all these recordings. There was a rental house, but maybe somebody bought it. It turns out Tony bought it. Oh no! So by the way, all this stuff happens very, very quickly. And the wife hands Marley her card, like, hey, please, do what you can. He's not a bad guy. Our lives are in ruin. And they get there. The funniest thing about this is once they get to the house, it's a very nice, lavish house. It probably costs quite a bit to shoot there, unless that's Tyler Perry's house. I don't know. I don't care. They get there. She finds the recording device underneath this thing. You would have thought that the people involved in this, Kevin, by the way, would have known and maybe tried to destroy that device, but no, we couldn't do that. She listens to it, not even putting a headphone jack in there or syncing it up with Bluetooth or whatever. She just listens to it in a very echoey bathroom that I think the neighbors a half mile down the road probably heard, but it's fine. She wants to leave, but Tony has her keys. Kevin has her keys, but Tony's also in on it. Why is Tony in on it? Because it's not actually Tony, and it's just a way to get revenge on Marley, because Fela got a big settlement, but Tony didn't. Or something. I guess. By this point, I just stopped caring and was like, okay, are we going to get to the hilarity? We did. Unfortunately, it was too late. They drug her, they take her out on the boat and everything, and it's just Tony and Kevin and Fela. Oh my God, her friend betrayed her. Because she knew Rodney was a bad guy, so she set all this up, set the white cop up to take the fall. Again, trivializing the whole thing about African-American people being shot. I mean, whatever. If this was a social commentary on people using real-life, situations to suit their needs, that might have worked if Tyler Perry had any competence involved in this entire filmmaking process. So they're on a boat, the banana boat. A cop shows up. They shoot the cop, but then he's floating because he's got the life preserver neck thing. So they throw an anchor chain thing around Marley and sink her to the goddamn ground because she's drugged. But then they have to fish the cop out of there. You could have just taken a knife and popped his goddamn... This doesn't look like popping. His life preserver, but it's fine. And then suddenly Marley gets back on the boat. This is all happening very quickly, by the way. Gets there, uses the flare gun, shoots, I believe, Fela in the back first. Then shoots Kevin, and then shoots Tony. Well, She shot Fela. By the way, flare guns are only one flare. And even if you have fast reloading, it's a small boat. It's not like they couldn't get over there, but they're monumentally stupid characters. And just boom. Shoots Fela in the back. That's what friendship gets you. And then shoots Kevin, and he's dead. And then shoots Tony. And then she's on the news talking about all this and that it's not a political thing or whatever. We need to figure out what's right and wrong, and this needs to stop. And that's true. This does need to stop. People, because of the color of skin, shouldn't be gunned down. It should be about due process and all that stuff. But in this movie, when the cause was lost after the first 20 minutes, I don't know what the fuck Tyler Perry was trying to do with this, but whatever he did, he didn't pull it off. He just took a serious subject matter, trivialized it, made a really, really bad movie. Cat Graham looked great, though. Boy, did she ever. Boy, howdy. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. F. Agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin, and I'll see you soon.